We are back with Ed from winningponies.com here at SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We're analyzing 2015 Belmont Stakes. We just got finished discussing American Pharaoh, and Ed previewed the Preakness Stakes with us. Said he loved American Pharaoh in the Preakness Stakes, but maybe not a surprise. He's going to be looking to bet against American Pharaoh in the Belmont Stakes, and now we'll take a look at the rest of the field, see what he has to say about the other 7 horses competing. Ed from winningponies.com. Thanks for being back with us.
Peter, thank you for having us on. Winning Ponies is an honor to be on during Belmont Week.
Oh, well, I'm honored to. I feel very lucky to have your insightful analysis here. The second 2 choices after American Pharaoh on the morning line odds, we have Frosted at 5-1, Materiality at 6-1. You know, there's a lot of good signs for both of those. Materiality in particular, you know, Pletcher will have the home course edge here. Frosted 5-1, Materiality 6-1. Out of those 2, which do you like more? Materiality
really fits the bill. You're talking a direct speed horse that actually had to have the lead and came off the pace to run 6th in the Derby,
right,
which is no easy task unto itself. With Materiality and Todd Pletcher coming in with fresh legs, I think that's going to be a real big plus in his corner. Of the 2, I'm going to go with Frosted. Now, when they took off the blinkers and the Fountain of Youth, he actually had the lead at the top of the lane, and Larry Collmus was quoted as saying he really looks good from here because he actually opened up by half a length and just imploded. Yeah. And he dropped back to 4th, and it really had us all scratching our head. Frosted looks to be that now horse that can actually find another gear that can shift in, and right when American Pharaoh has been tested, 1, 2, 3 times. Once they hit the 5 furlong mark, 5 furlongs left in the race, I believe the Frosted is actually going to shift out and going to be a factor.
Yeah, Frosted, actually some people would consider him to have had a nightmare trip in the Kentucky Derby and still finished 4th and still seemed like he had energy and was closing. So does the way he finished the Kentucky Derby factor into how much you like Frosted here?
Most definitely. When you can actually have legs in the final furlong of the Derby, you're doing something. They pretty much write off everybody that's outside of the 8th pole. If you're not in the picture of the 8th pole, seldomly do you do well in the Derby. Frosted actually was able to pick up after being 14th by 9.5 lengths and didn't have the most easiest of trips out of the 12 hole, but then there was a few other excuse horses as well. Frosted really, the son of Tappet runners actually do better in the second half of the year. Now that we're into June, we're into that crucial time, and I see Frosted shifting gears right at the right time.
All right, and now looking at the rest of the field, do you throw out the rest of the field? One horse that's interesting, of course, Mubtahij. There was some debate as to how he would fare on American tracks after running overseas, but then there's other people who are saying that this race is perfectly suited for him, for his running style, for his breeding. Overseas horses are often bred, I believe he's Irish bred, they're often bred to run longer distances than American thoroughbreds. The morning line odds for Mubtahij are 10-1. Also got a jockey, Irad Ortiz, who is rides at Belmont, knows the track very well. What's your take on Mubtahij?
I really like this son of Dubawi. He is Irish bred, and he's actually won. If you throw out the Derby, where he did finish in 8th place, an 8th place effort, the connections were really not disappointed. Michael de Kock is a South African trainer, and he's one of the best in the world. The 2 races prior to that were both at 1 mile 3/16, and one was the UAE Derby, and he won impressively. He's got a super turn of foot. When they actually brought Mubtahij over for the Kentucky Derby, he wasn't allowed to bring his feed. There was a few restrictions, nothing that anyone else didn't have to undergo, but Mubtahij just seemed like he had the wind knocked out of him. He's now rested. Michael de Kock does not run in the United States unless he actually feels he has a chance. On a day that he had 3 Group 1 winners and a Group 1 or Group 2 placing, they asked him to interview him about his wonderful day at the races, and all that he could say was how excited he was about coming to America for the Kentucky Derby. Anytime you see him, and you'll mainly see him shipped to Arlington for the Arlington Million, but Mubtahij going to Belmont right after the Derby was a super positive sign. He's had 5 works, and he's actually changing leads in the morning, something he hasn't done in the previous 3 races.
For the rest of the field, there's some closers, some deep closers who might have the running style that's promising for the Belmont, but just might not have the class, might not have the horse to compete. Tail of Verve, Fermento, are those horses really on the level of American Pharaoh and Frosted and Materiality?
No, I really don't. I think that they're jumping in there, and they're going to be trying to play the spoiler role, which is a very popular role in the Belmont, as you said, for the last 13. I think that they're in there. If it all falls to pieces, they could be players. But there are so many different scenarios that would be needed for them just to actually hit the board.
And then the only other ones we didn't talk about, Made from Lucky and Keen Ice. And Made from Lucky, of course, won the Peter Pan Stakes, which is a lot of times seen as a good prep. Historically, it's been a good prep for the Belmont. Pletcher knows what he's doing. He wouldn't run Made from Lucky if he didn't think he had a real chance. What do you think about Made from Lucky? Morning line odds 12-1.
I love Made from Lucky's. I like his efforts for that third and fourth spots in my heart. But in my head, I can see why many people are really favoring him. If you go back 2 races, he was only 9 lengths off of American Pharaoh in the Arkansas, and he was second in the Rebel Stakes, where American Pharaoh threw a shoe and now has to wear a plate shoe. I think Made from Lucky looks good. Todd Pletcher is winning 49% at the Belmont meet, and this runner is 1 for 1. Now, one of the old caveats is if you haven't run over the Belmont surface prior, no Triple Crown winner has ever accomplished this. So not only is he fighting history, not only is he fighting a lot of fresh leg horses in the spoilers, but you get horses like Made from Lucky. You know that Todd Pletcher has the #1 rider in the nation. And you brought up a great point with winning the Peter Pan. There's been Woody Stevens made quite a living off of runners that came out of the Peter Pan, readying them for the Belmont to play the spoiler role.
Awesome information and analysis and insights, Ed, from winningponies.com. Now let's just move on to the third segment of our call, where we will get some recommended bets from you. Thanks so much, Ed.